Yes, and I appreciate you asking me. It's been quite some time. I think after a long period of time, I was ready to tell my story in a public forum. I had been writing my memoirs over a number of years, but the culminating factor was actually a few months ago when my family in the United States began to be attacked. And I don't mean in the literal physical sense. What I mean is that fake social media accounts had been created to impersonate a long-lost half-sibling of my father's first marriage. And my sisters thought that this could be a potential sibling, and they basically released a lot of personal family information. And this information was actually released via PPP and PTM social media accounts. And so through investigations, we were able to connect that PPP and PTM affiliated accounts were actually trying to hack into my personal family information. And so it's one thing to abuse me, it's one thing to call me names, but when someone attacks my family is when it becomes personal for me.
Cynthia, as you're saying that obviously digital world is quite unsafe, especially for women. And you have mentioned it earlier that you have evidences, messages, and chats that would prove that you're making the allegations that you're making. They are correct. Why are you not sharing the evidences? What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for my day in court.
Don't you think that this is the time so that you can tell people to not bug you and here's the proof and I'm going to take it to the court?
Listen, in the U.S. justice system, I had training as a court-appointed mediator. I had a training as a guardian ad litem. I have shared quite a bit of evidence related to the harassment of individuals that happen to be in the PPP, and these are screenshots and calls. I have diplomats who have and will go on record if necessary overheard calls from PPP workers threatening to rape me, threatening to harm me and my family, telling me that they had my father hostage, even though they did not know my father is actually deceased. So this is enough for me right now to show these party workers, their behavior is actually their own condemnation. I don't feel the need to share. In the game of poker, you don't show all your cards at once.
You're in a foreign country. You are alone. And if it happened, then obviously as a victim, one would need support. One would want to be around family and friends because this is a serious crime and this is very traumatic. So what kind of support did you get in Pakistan? Because as you said that you chose to stay in Pakistan.
Yes, I have been victimized a number of times, as I think that's a part of life we all have, but I am certainly no victim. When this happened to me, I of course was not going to tell my mother. I did not want my family to know. I did not want them to worry further. And on top of that, I had already met a number of really good people here in Pakistan that genuinely believed that an improved U.S.-Pakistan relationship should take place and should manifest. And I felt that my role here was to help be a better advocate as an American for Pakistan.
Alleged crime is, as I said, quite traumatic. So did you feel safe in Pakistan?
I found myself in a very precarious situation because the one man who I told my mother was one of the most powerful men in the country at the time, and that his government was personally hosting me and they were looking after my safety. The one man who was supposed to look after my safety is the one man that took the most advantage of me. And he, in no uncertain terms, told me after the Osama bin Laden incident that Americans were now targets and that I should remain at my home, which was at the National Institute of Health, which was provided by the Federal Health Ministry at the time, that I should remain in my location for several days and not go anywhere.
Are you saying that you've been unprotected and vulnerable during that time?
I was afraid to go to my own embassy because the impression that was being created with me, because I had direct contact with the Interior Minister, with all these individuals that had been introduced to me by a Pakistani American delegation the year prior. So I had direct cell contact with the then Interior Minister, Rahman Malik. And so for me, I was No, I wouldn't say I was terrified because that's not how I'm wired, but I was afraid to go to my own embassy.
You claim to be an influencer and you are a travel vlogger. And why do you still feel motivated to vlogs about Pakistan being a safe place?
Because of the actions of one individual or a few individuals, it's unfair to stereotype and generalize anything. I have seen many horrific things here in Pakistan, as I have seen in my home country of USA, but I have seen far more beauty than I have seen the ugly.
Cynthia, all your allegations have mostly been against political class, even though your work mostly has been either with the military establishment or bureaucrats in Pakistan. So you think that this behavior is only limited to political class?
Absolutely not. There's bad behavior everywhere. I've witnessed it across a number of spectrums. Have people in the other political parties misbehave with me? Yes, there have been, and I've shut them down. But I have, under no circumstances, experienced a level of aggression in a couple of the accounts that I have not gone public with, but we have documentation and evidence for that as well. The most aggressive, the most violent, the most heinous have come from men that have been associated with a political party that has claimed to be the most democratic, pro-women's rights, most liberal party in Pakistan. And I find that a bit ironic.
Before rape allegations, you're not talking about their policy making here. You are actually talking about their sexual life, their marital life. So how can you expect women rights activists to support you in a situation where you yourself are maligning women without any proof?
If PPP is the liberal democratic party that it went pro-liberal women's rights party that it has always claimed to be globally, there should be no problem with someone saying, okay, this one, we were in a relationship, whether friendly or whatever someone does in their personal life is their personal life. My point with that tweet about Nekabullah in terms of his being killed was being misused. It had happened due to one reason, but it was being misused by the Pashtun Tahaffuz movement. And I even apologized to her in a subsequent tweet, and I would hope that you would know that and look that up as well as a journalist, as a professional journalist. That was not my intent. If I make a mistake, or if I see that someone... But let me finish.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that obviously once you apologize, but once it's there on Twitter, people are still sharing and talking about it, right?
I understand. I cannot help what other people do, but what I can do is people tend to, unfortunately, jump to conclusions, and I understand. Twitter is not the best platform for us to elaborate in great detail. It is what it is, being a microblogging site. So if I see that a lot of people believe that I am attacking another woman, that was not, nor was it ever my intent, and I did issue those clarifications. Secondly, as it relates to the Benazir Bhutto tweet, again, I was not attacking Benazir Bhutto. When this video came out of Mr. Malik's daughter, or a woman, basically saying to another woman, ordering her guards to attack another woman, this instantly recalled my personal experiences and brought up my personal emotions here in Pakistan, and it also reminded me stories that were told to me personally by Rahman Malik. And this type of rape culture is pervasive in Pakistan, and the most sickening thing about it is I have heard it more from the party that claims to be the most liberal and progressive.
And you believe
why would I not?
And you believed.
Okay, so restate your question, please. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that Rahman Malik told you the story about Benazir Bhutto, and you believed it.
He wasn't the only one that told me this story. This story was told to me by a handful of different senior PPP politicians, and they said it in such a way to where they almost revered and had some sort of fantasy about this abuse system. And this was told to me in an environment where I became more and more vulnerable. This tweet was not intended to defame. It was not intended to attack Benazir Bhutto, but it was intended to say, why do women condone this? Why don't we support one another? We may not agree with one another politically, but let's at least support one another in terms of asking for an impartial investigation.
Did you wish to investigate what they told you, allegedly, PPP people about Benazir Bhutto. Did you wish to investigate it before tweeting about it?
No, I'm not in the habit of just randomly tweeting things. The things that I've been exposed to, the videos that I've seen, the messages that I've been told by various people that echo verbatim across a particular political spectrum over the years, these were things that I deliberately tried to forget because they were so horrific in nature to me. These are things that I absolutely wanted nothing to do with. But unfortunately, even the strongest of us, when we've been victimized or when we've gone through traumas ourselves, sometimes these things come out. And yes, maybe it opened up a can of worms, but maybe this can of worms, through a lot of struggle, maybe there will be more healing.
I mean, you're saying that some powerful people told you about Benazir Bhutto and that's why you tweeted it. So if you go by with what random people or powerful people say, they accuse you of being a triple agent, accuse you of being used by Pakistan military to malign PPP.
I don't need to do any maligning of the PPP, its own actions, and the people are speaking for themselves.
You have been saying that people are attacking you on social media, and you are also being harassed. You're receiving death threats and rape threats. You claim to be an influencer, so you understand this medium pretty well. And I'm sure you're aware that how vicious it can get on Twitter, right? But you chose to make those allegations on Twitter, right? And that's your choice. Some do question, and there are some concerns that it's almost reasonable to assume that you are courting a scandal here.
I don't know that I'm courting anything. The truth is that it is my truth.
Right. So how do you deal with the backlash?
Both FIA and PTA have said no cybercrime has been committed. 1. 2, in terms of defamation, in Pakistan, according to Pakistani law, it has to be either the guardian or the heirs of the defamed individual. And under English law, you can't defame a deceased person. PPP wants to make this about defamation of a deceased political figure. This is about me uncovering activities of a political party that pretends to be something globally, but in reality is something very different in Pakistan.
Who are you investigating it for?
Myself.
Why?
I think, look, I believe that I can make a great deal of impact in Pakistan, positive impact. And human rights issues are incredibly important anywhere in the world. I believe my ability to travel, my access, yes, my contacts, my ability to reach areas that a lot of people, for some reason, either choose not to or they have an inability to, helps me get a better understanding of ground realities in Pakistan. And my goal has been to tell a more objective story. When someone claims that there are human rights issues, and let me be clear about this, I do believe that PTM started out as a genuine human rights movement. Everyone that I spoke to at DI Khan, where Manzoor Pashtun actually studied for veterinary sciences, everyone that I spoke to at the university, in his hometown of Jandola, South Waziristan, they spoke positively of him, that he was considered to be a polite young man. But this movement started out organically as a human rights movement and turned into something political, something anti-state, something anti-PTI, has a great deal of Afghani footprints all over it, as well as PPP's involvement. And when I began to share bits of information on Twitter, that's when coordinated media attacks from the so-called liberal media began to happen, because they were understanding that I was able to actually investigate what was taking place. And if you recall, there actually was an article where Manzoor Pashtun was quoted. He said, "Please come investigate our claims." And that's exactly what I intended to do.
How did you manage to get access to those areas? Because a lot of Pakistani or international journalists are not allowed to go to those areas where you've been.
I disagree with the term flaunt. I'm simply trying to share my truth and my reality, and my goal is to try to help tell the story of the people. Just as one has to gain security clearance, if I go to a U.S. air base anywhere in the world, I have to have clearance. I have to have someone vouch for me. If I do any type of work with or in collaboration with the government, there are different levels of clearances reason, whatever the case may be. I have been in Pakistan for the vast majority of the past several years. I am not unknown to the government or the agencies that do the clearing. This is a natural, normal thing. If I had anything to hide in terms of my permissions and ability to travel the country, I certainly wouldn't be sharing it in an open source format across social media.
Yeah, but about your visa renewal form, you do mention that you are, and you have been working with Pakistan military and KPK government. Is that true?
My visas have always been sponsored over the years. I've worked, and I have proper documentation. Half of what I've seen online about me or being on the ECL or extra security precautions, half of what I've seen on Twitter is absolute nonsense, and I don't feel the need to address each and every one. But all of my visas have been properly sponsored by organizations, and if I'm working on a subject matter that might involve additional sensitivity, such as me working for a multinational that was looking into the CPAC route, it was looking into energy sectors, and those energy sectors are being guarded by the military, the Pakistan military. There are large cadres of Chinese populations, so I was going to areas of great sensitivity. Of course I need clearances, of course I need permissions to go to these areas, and I always do this by the letter of the law.
In the past, you have said that you have worked with Pakistan military. Do you think that now they have publicly denied working with you? That's why your story is changing?
Let me clarify that. It's not as if when I say, look, I mean that in a collaborative way, like I'm working with you on this interview. I'm not being paid by you for this interview. I'm not being paid by VOA, nor have I asked for that. But I worked with you to arrange this product, so hopefully a message, a story will be told. That's simply what I meant by that. I work with a lot of people.
The kind of access you have, I don't have it. A lot of journalists, and I'm a Pakistani, a lot of international journalists don't have that access. How did you manage to get that access?
Have you tried to gain that access?
Absolutely.
Have you tried to tell the story of PTM?
Absolutely.
Then
But the thing is, I want to understand that because you've been seen in power centers and you've been posting pictures about powerful people in Pakistan that you've been meeting with, you've been, in contact with. And obviously for work and to be able to have access to those areas, you have to do that. I'm just curious as a journalist to find out, how did you manage to get access?
I think, there's a good side and an upside. I think one of the first questions that I was asked years ago was, who are you? There was a mentality because I wasn't affiliated with BBC or CNN or that I was nobody. And I felt that was sort of a very elitist mentality. And I said, look, I'm someone that's interested in telling an objective story. I'm not interested in pushing propaganda. I'm not interested in pushing Pakistan's propaganda. I'm not interested in pushing America's propaganda. I'm interested in trying to understand the people of this country and telling their story.
I want to understand, where did you represent Pakistan internationally? Because if you see your Twitter or your work, it's mostly aimed for, or the audience that you're aiming for seems to be mostly Pakistanis.
Well, you have a target audience, right? And we have a lot of my work has been aired in private forums at the embassies and at different locations and private locations around the world. Just because you haven't seen it on CNN or BBC, a travel series, doesn't mean that there hasn't been an international impact. And in fact, much of my following is, I don't like the term influencer, but it is what it is. My following is organic.
Right. So you talked about that, how people were asking you, who are you? And they were like, and there are contradictory stories about who you are and your expertise. And you said that you've been working on a documentary for a couple of years now. If you are being paid by taxpayers' money, it should be clear as day what you've been doing in the past. Why there is contradictory reports about who you are and what you've been doing?
I can't speak to why necessarily other people are doing what they do. I mean, I can speculate. I know that people want to create this unnecessary controversy around me. They want to try to deport me so that my story won't actually be told. Listen, if I were actually up to criminal issues, if I had falsely accused someone of these heinous things that we've been talking about, then it seems to me that someone who is genuinely wronged would say, we don't want her to go anywhere. We want her to stay here and go to court, which is why I said when I saw this fake ECL letter being propagated on Twitter, I said I welcome being placed on the ECL. That'll remedy two things for me. I won't have to worry about applying for my visa extension. And then two, everybody's story will be told. Whether if I'm right, great. If I'm wrong, I'll be held accountable.
मैं हूं सारा जमान। वॉइस ऑफ अमेरिका दुनिया भर से अहम खबरें और दिलचस्प कंटेंट लेके आता है आपके लिए। तो सब्सक्राइब कीजिए उर्दू VOA का YouTube चैनल और बेल आइकॉन दबाना ना भूलिएगा